So you want to learn JavaScript? That's awesome. For 15 years now, I've been coding in JavaScript and other scripts. I'm going to talk about basics by creating animation and interactive stuff. I'm assuming you have zero knowledge and or experience right now. Cool. So today we're going to write some code that creates a thing that moves around the screen. Let's go. Let's start in VS Code and we'll create a directory. Let's call it cucumber. How do you spell cucumber? Dance. And hit enter. And inside of cucumber dance, let's create a new file. This will be the stage, the container for our code. Cool. Let's call it index.html. Hit enter. Create another file. Let's call it cucumber.js. Hit enter. Great. First things first. Let's switch over to our index file and let's type the HTML scaffolding. The stuff inside the HTML document is called markup that the browser understands. So all of those red words there are tags. And the white words are actual text that people like you and me will look at. The red words are for the browser only. So inside the HTML document, we've got head and body. The head is kind of like the meta information about the document. And the body is like the content of the document, okay? And in this body, I'm including one P tag. A P is short for paragraph. And I'm giving that paragraph an ID so that I can hook into it later. And inside it, I'm just dropping one cucumber emoji. We're kind of done with our HTML document. Let's save it. Command S. So Command S, and let's switch over to cucumber.js. Oh, before we switch over, let's include cucumber.js in the HTML document. This is kind of the key link between the two. Now our HTML file knows about cucumber.js. You see in the terminal here, I've typed http://server. And what this allows me to do is to load up my newly created HTML file in the browser. Okay? And I'm just going to make that cucumber a little bigger. Voila! Doesn't that look great? All that detail and that emoji. Okay, so that's our starting place. Now, I'm just writing a comment. Anytime you start a line with // that tells the JavaScript interpreter, the thing that reads the JavaScript, to ignore that line. That's for you and me. That's for humans to read only. Now I've typed console.log. This tells the window to log out something. That is to say, to print some text for developers to use. This is useful for troubleshooting and debugging. Hey, we're getting started here. First thing I want to do in my JavaScript file here is to grab a reference to that cucumber emoji. And the way to do that is to create a variable. In this case, I'm using a const. Const is short for constant. I give it a name that's easy to understand. And now this document.query selector, these are the controls provided by the browser API for developers to do things. Like in this example, I'm grabbing that cucumber. And now you see that I've logged that out in the console, so to confirm that I've gotten it correctly. This is something you'll do over and over again as we develop. You'll write some code and you'll kind of test it real quick. Great. I'm writing a function now. In JavaScript, functions are chunks of code that are reusable or that are run again and again. In this case, a start method. So this will be the entry point for our script, our program. I'm writing another function now called loop. Hopefully it's clear that this is the part of the program that's going to run again and again. I've written request animation frame, and I've passed in the word loop, which is the name of the function. Okay, and that tells the browser, hey, run this function I'm giving you as soon as you can. But this is a way to keep the loop going. Inside my loop, I'm going to move that cucumber. To do that, I'm going to move it from the left side of the screen over to the right side of the screen. Every graphical system has coordinates. The browser is the same way. The browser will understand positioning on an x-axis, which is horizontal, left to right, or a y-axis, which is top to bottom. Great, so what I've done was to pass the value of counter, which is I'm adding one, it keeps growing, to the style attribute of that cucumber. The style attribute is going to talk about its properties, like its color, its size, its position, its rotation. So by incrementing the left value, I'm telling the browser move that thing further and further to the left. And so the effect is that it starts on the left and moves over to the right. How cool is that? I've just replaced the increment with another variable. And that variable allows me to just have a one-stop shop for modifying the animation, in this case, speeding it up or slowing it down. I'm going to settle on incrementing it by 5 because I think that's a pretty nice rate. I don't like the way the cucumber just animates all the way over to the right and then disappears off screen. So I'm writing a conditional statement now. I'm saying if, using the if keyword, and then inside the parentheses I give it some condition. In this case, I'm saying if the value for this counter variable is greater than, let's say, max width, okay, which is the width of the browser window. If the value for counter, which is the position of our cucumber, if that value is greater than the edge of the browser window, then I want you to do something. In this case, I'm going to have it just reset that position back to the left side of the screen. To get the width of the browser window, the exact width, I'm using another browser API. This is a document.body.clientWidth, and that's going to return the width of the browser window. So here I've said, okay, if the condition is true, reset the counter to 0. But I've got a problem here. The browser says, dude, client width is not a function, so why are you calling it? Well, maybe I meant to call it on the document instead. No, dude, because client width is not a function. And I can't remember what's going on here, so I'm going to refer back to another example I did. Aha! Okay. So the problem is it's not a function. I just need to call that property. So I just need to call that property, and boom, I've got it. Now as the cucumber slides off screen, boom, it's automatically reset back to the left side. How great is that? I think we could add a little more interest to our animation though. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Okay, and I'm hitting refresh so that the browser loads my script again and resets it. Let's add a little up and down movement to our cucumber now. To affect the up and down position of this cucumber, I'm going to change its top style property, okay? I'm using a built-in, built right into JavaScript, a math function called cos, which is short for cosine. Hey, look at that! The effect is you get this nice smooth movement, okay? How groovy is that? It started out moving really, really fast, so I'm reducing the value for counter, which is the value I'm passing into cosine, And you can kind of play with those values until you get one that you like. In this case, I'm taking only 1/20th of that value. So it's a nice smooth up and down motion. I like that very much. That looks like a dancing cucumber to me. Okay. Now, I don't want it to just automatically vanish and reappear on the left side of the screen. So what I'm going to do now is tell it to instead change directions. It's going to drift from left to right, and then once it reaches the edge of the screen, it's going to drift back from right to left. Now, you'll see I made a mistake. Instead, I'm going to change the rate. Now, the effect of this will be I'm incrementing the position from left to right, increasing, and then when it reaches the edge, it's going to decrease. Let's try it again. Now, JavaScript gave me the browser revealed another error. I was trying to change a property which is supposed to be constant. The const keyword indicates that a variable does not change. So I had to change that keyword to let. And let is a different kind of variable. It allows you to change it whenever you like. I'm going to do the same thing now for the left side of the screen. If the cucumber floats off the left side of the screen, I want it to change directions again. And now I'm going to give it a min width value, and we'll just set that to 0. Great. Animating along, reach the edge, right edge. Okay, come on back. And we're in the middle, and when we reach the left edge, we're gonna change course again. Yay, I love the way it bounces off the edge of the screen on the left side. Now you notice on the right side, it kind of drifts off and it'll drift back. So let's change that. Instead of drifting off and then coming back, let's have it bounce into the edge of the screen. In order to do that, I need to be very specific about when I want it to turn around. Right now I'm just saying turn around when you go off screen. Instead of going off screen, let's say turn around when you reach the edge of the screen. And we have to factor in the width of our cucumber in order to calculate the edge of the screen. To do that, I'm using another browser API, which will get bounding client rect. Really specific, but doesn't really roll off the tongue. So there you go. Using get bounding client rect, I was able to determine the width of this cucumber and then subtract that from the edge that I'm trying to detect. And the effect is, as soon as you reach the width of the browser window minus the cucumber, then you bounce. There you go. That is about it for today. What we could do next time is add in a keyboard listener so that if the user hits the space bar or some other key, we can stop the animation. And then if the user taps the space bar again, we can resume. Or we could use any other control, like if the user clicks the screen or taps another keyboard key or whatever. But we're not going to do that today because I've got to go put my laundry in the dryer. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you soon.